Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being here. Before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe down here to the podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure there's a little share link. Take that share link, put that on your Twitter, put that on Facebook. Let people know what we got going on over here. I'm so glad you guys could come back. I know it's been a few weeks. Thank you for those of you that are still listening to the goddamn thing.
I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. If you listen to the last episode, you know that my living situation went straight to shit and that I had to find a new place to live. And I've done it. If you look around, if you're watching on YouTube, we're in a beautiful new studio space. I really like it a lot. It's a little echoey in here. I'm in a big open room with these high ceilings, but I like it. I like this fucking... Look at this wood paneling. How professional is that? Again, if you're on audio versions, get on the YouTube, damn it. Share the videos. That's how we're going to build this thing. That's how we're going to build an empire. So, man, I don't know. Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine. His name is Darian Irwin. He's a very funny comic from here in Nashville and Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm so glad he could come on. We had a schedule to do this while he was in town for Aaron Weber, his album recording. Hey, Aaron Weber. Aaron Weber did his new comedy album at Zany's Nashville, and I don't know when that's going to be coming out because it's just recorded, but it was a lot of fun. And, oh, my God, dude, it's so good to be around when there's some event at the comedy club when it's everybody's friends. It's like they're all there to support the guy that's on stage, and they all love the person on stage, and then everybody that's there is friends as well. It always ends up for a good hang. I didn't have to work that night, so I got to go to the show. I got to sit with all the comics on the side in the back like they do, and it's just cool to watch everyone enjoy Aaron's act, you know, to like celebrate him. Dusty Slay was on the show, Brian Bates was on the show, Connor Larson was on the show. So it's a big Nashville time, baby. So, you know, keep a look. If you don't know who Aaron Weber is, check out, I think he's Real Aaron Weber on Instagram. Check out Aaron Weber. He's been touring all over the place with guys like John Chris, Nate Bargatze. He's the co-host of the Nate Land podcast with Nate Bargatze and Brian Bates. So, dude, it's good to celebrate your friends. It's good to have friends. It's good to know comics. And so, without further ado, let's just get this thing started. Please welcome to the podcast a good friend, Darian Irwin. Let's see what's up with him. But he's left me with this dog. I'm having it for like 5 days. Have you ever had to take care of somebody's dog that you don't enjoy at all?
No.
It's not a lot of fun.
Wait, you don't enjoy the dog or you don't enjoy Kanan?
No, I don't enjoy the dog.
Okay.
Have you never had to take care of somebody's dog? It's like a piece of shit?
No. I took care of somebody's dog once and I love the dog. I really considered moving out of the city and not telling them and just keeping the dog, but that didn't pan out that way. But no, I've never had to take care of a dog that I didn't like.
His dog's a piece of shit. It runs. He's got it trained. The back door's broken, so it just run from outside. The only time it'll come in is if you'll let it run up the stairs and just blast the door like off the hinges. Otherwise, she won't. Like,
how big is it? Is it a big dog?
It's a Labradoodle, medium-sized dog.
Okay.
So like if I want to, just let the dog in like a normal person, just like let it in the door, it won't come. It refuses. It'll just stand there at the door and wait for me to close it so it can run down the stairs and then run back up and blow it off the hinge every time. And then if I don't do that, it'll scratch the door. So I'm trying to. It's not my dog. In 5 days, I'm trying to train her to be different. It's just frustrating. It's a horrible situation.
That would be really funny to like completely retrain somebody's dog while they were gone.
It is. Yeah, I'm trying to do it. Honestly, he hasn't seen me. That's a funny thing about this whole living situation. He hasn't seen me move a single piece of furniture. Like, this place used to be full of different furniture.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of different shit here, a bunch of stuff upstairs. He hasn't witnessed 1 second of stuff going in or out of the house with his old roommates or me. So I'm just like immediately, I've replaced, like he'll come home and shit's just different.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's just like he'll come in, the studio's built.
Yeah.
Like, I live upstairs now. I had been on the couch with all my shit in here for like a week waiting for them to move.
Okay.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
How many? So is it just you and Kanan here?
Right now it's just us, but we need we're looking for another person.
Okay.
I think he's got some people in Nashville, it's not that hard to find people to live in your place. But I mean, I was trying to find a guy I lived with before. It's not working out though. So we're going to have to meet a new person, I think, and then be okay with this fucking thing.
You trying to get like another comic in here?
I would,
yeah.
But I don't know if living with three comics would be fun. There's nobody I really dislike. But I bet they have some weird...
I appreciate your recording. You got the product, but that's definitely not true.
No, I really... That's why I immediately was backtracking to think, like, I bet some of them would be horrible to live with.
Yeah,
though, you know?
Yeah.
Like, living with Shane Bianchi. Could you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd have several dogs that I don't like, you know?
I just don't... He'd have several... occult artifacts that would make noises. You know what I mean? Inanimate objects
Yes.
that would move. You know what I don't.
The last living situation I had, that my roommates had a statue of Baphomet. Do you know what Baphomet is?
No.
It's like that goat thing with the horns and the pentagram. It's like Satan sitting on a throne, essentially.
Oh.
They brought that
That's
into our
cool.
home, broke the statue in the house, and now we
That
had
can't
the
be good.
worst. Yeah, I mean, our
That can't
house
be
went
good.
to complete shit. That's why I had to move out and move in here. Like the house, just the septic tank blew up inside the walls, and the house just fell apart. We had to rip up the floors, and we had to break. We were 2 months into this new house, and we just had to fucking bounce because we were cursed by occult objects. So definitely, yeah, maybe Shane's off the list.
Yeah, that sounds like it was your fault, though. You know what I mean?
Not my fault. I'm not bringing in satanic.
Right, but whoever
objects
did,
around.
yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of witches. They're a bunch of They think they're witches.
Shane's cool though, man. I bet he'd be. Actually, I think now that I think about it, it would just be chaos. It'd be fun to live with him. Just complete
He's
chaos.
probably clean. He wears the same
No,
clothes
he's not.
every day.
Yeah, well, you mean you leave the litter box out, the whole.
Yeah, he'll feed himself.
Yeah,
That's it. He's like,
he'll find a rat,
half man,
or
half
whatever
animal.
outside. That's fine.
Jesus Christ. So that's what we'll do in this podcast. We'll just talk shit about it. Kiddingly about people that we know, maybe. I don't really have a theme for this thing yet. You went to Did you go to New York during COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, there's nobody that's not giving me shit for that.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care. I had a date this evening. I was
Yeah.
going to go on a date, and the girl texted me, and she was like, hey, somebody I was hanging out with this week had COVID.
Yeah.
So we couldn't. She was like, just letting you know we can't go on a date tonight because I might have COVID. I got to go find out if I have it. So I'm pretty thankful I didn't find out after
the
tonight.
day? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty thankful because if I brought COVID into the comedy club, dude, it'd be over for me.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be the first person to bring COVID in the comedy club, though.
No, DL did, but he didn't get any of us really.
Yeah.
He got one guy.
Yeah.
And that was it. That we
Yeah.
were all safe. But
Yeah.
I just I'm afraid to get it, not because I think I'll get sick, but because it will fuck up my life for 2 weeks. I couldn't do this. I couldn't have you into my home. I couldn't go see Tim Dillon tonight, which is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see Tim Dillon?
Yeah, I am. Well, you, I guess, you're a healthy, young, strapping lad. You don't have to worry about COVID as much. For me, I have too many pre-existing conditions to fuck. Like going to New York was, for me, in my situation, as big as I am, I should not be fucking with a respiratory disease. You know what I mean?
Is it that big of a deal, really, for you with COVID?
Yeah. If you're obese, you will die.
No way. If you get it, it's like game over.
It's game over, bro.
Jesus Christ. So you did that and you were like, let's just go to New York.
I didn't want to not go to Peter Luger's, you know what I mean? So
did you have plans? What is that?
It's a steakhouse that we went to when we were out there. Yeah.
I
I'm not gonna not
I did
go.
not want to go to a steakhouse in a fucking death pit, you
Yeah.
know? Okay, so that's fun. So you do a lot of travel. What do you do, dude? You're like always driving. You're doing comedy.
Always driving, dude.
Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
always
you're
driving, bro.
You're traveling. You're like everywhere. You're
Yeah,
like you
man.
live in Knoxville.
Well, I was so
here.
when I started doing comedy, man. Like that was for me was like I went on stage, and like from the first night on stage, there was just not a night that I wasn't on stage, no matter what I had to do. I have one of those personalities where. Like I have an addictive personality, but my biggest problem is I have a real problem with moderation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like clearly, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So sometimes that gets channeled into things and it's really bad for me and bad for my health and bad for my psyche. And then there's other times it gets channeled into things and it's actually really productive for whatever I'm doing.
Like
Comedy
stand-up comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, comedy is a mix of both of those because I think it was really good. There was structure to it, and I was doing it every night, and I was grinding, and I felt like I was really progressing and getting better, which was really cool. And then, but also it's just a bad decision for anybody to do. You know what I mean?
To do comedy.
Yeah.
No, dude. I respect you. Like you are known to me as one of the people that works the hardest of like the comics.
That's
for
so
real.
nice, man.
Because I mean, no, you travel like in Knoxville. I don't know what the comedy scene's like in Knoxville, but I know you as one of the people that goes to Nashville mics more than anybody else.
Yeah.
And you don't even
I know,
you
I
live
know,
like
I
3
know,
hours
bro.
away from here,
Bro. It's dude.
What is comedy like in Knoxville? Is it just not a lot going on?
Right now? There's literally nothing. There's one open mic that happens once a week, and it's the host is really cool, Amanda Kroll. She's super awesome, and she works really hard at it. And it's not her fault because it's just COVID, but it's a complete nightmare. You know what I mean? Just
Or a lot of the comics from that city not coming out because of COVID. Like a lot of them not.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. The crowds are weird. It's done outside, which is just a bad move for comedy.
Is it during the daylight when
exactly.
it starts?
It's fucking. It starts at like 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? And it's like the sun is up. There's a train tracks that run right behind the stage, so you can be on stage and a fucking train can go by.
That's literally the worst kind. Like a show that goes from day to night during the show.
Yeah,
that's the
with
worst
a train.
thing ever. With a train right behind you.
I don't know if you've ever tried to.
It's always a train.
Shuck
it's always
and drive with
a
fucking train.
Yeah, it's like, hey folks,
I know.
you know,
it's such a nightmare. So that is the only thing happening in Knoxville right now.
Comedy in Knoxville.
Yeah, but even before that, man, the scene there is not. All the people are great. They're fucking. They're super awesome. I love everybody there, but there's just not really a.
Is it like the venue, like the willingness of venues to put on comedy shows? Because I know you put on. It looks like you grind to put on shows.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I work a lot with Lucas. You know Lucas.
Yeah, what's his last name?
McCrary.
Yeah.
I mean him like do shows together. There's a couple of other people that do shows. Rowan Young and Emily Gwen, they do shows together. Beth Tompkins runs shows out there. So there's a couple different people and groups that run like independent shows, but it's still just not. I mean, part of it's like Knoxville's just a tiny town. You know what I mean?
No club, right?
Yeah, no, there's no club in Knoxville.
Yeah,
no.
and it's a college town, right? It's Tennessee UT, so there's probably a lot of young people out there.
Yeah.
That doesn't make for a great comedy club atmosphere, though. Like a bunch of college students.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I don't know, man. It's really fun, man. We put together, me and Lucas put together this show that was in a coffee shop, and the crowd was all super young, super quote like woke people and stuff like that. Sure. We had Shane come out, and he just, you know what I mean, and you know Shane. He's fucking like the complete opposite of what you would think those people. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But he ended up, man. He lit it up, man. They really loved him. So there is a good. If you can put it together, there is a good atmosphere there. But as somebody who's trying to like come up and like make it in comedy, it's just not. I'm gonna have to move. Eventually.
Yeah,
I actually had planned on moving before now. It's just that fucking COVID hit, and then everything was just like there was a minute there where I was like, I don't know if stand up is ever gonna be a thing anymore.
Right? So, is it an option?
Exactly.
Can you even do it? That's when I started the podcast.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, you probably wouldn't know me from doing a lot of stand up, but before the COVID hit, I had a month of like I was doing 3 times a week. So it was like I finally had a good push to get going. And then it was like the world. I was like, well, this is a fucking sign that I should just never do stand up. Like, what the fuck? Dude?
I saw you a few times. You were a note card guy, right?
No, I did a note cards one time.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, I did it one time.
You can never not be the note card guy.
I was doing the fucking NBC writers packet thing, and I wrote all these jokes, and I was like, I don't know if any of these are funny or not. So I did them. There was so many of them. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I did note cards one time.
Yeah.
And so many people think that though. They were
That's
like,
so
you
funny.
do note cards, and I was like, because that was the comedy bar. That was towards the beginning of the comedy bar.
Yeah.
And that's where I did it. Yeah. No, but I don't know what kind of guy I am. I don't fucking do stand up enough to know that. But I don't know, dude. Comedy, it's not dead. Good news, you know.
No,
but
I think it would come back.
You saw comedy in the park in Central Park.
Yeah, well, I did it was an open mic. I did an open mic that was in Central Park, and there was like a playground like 60 feet away.
Just children.
Oh my god! And then they were insane. Nashville's got a weird thing, man, where I feel like Nashville feels like it feels like it needs to be a lot cleaner than it has to be, or maybe does have to be a lot cleaner than it has to be. I don't know.
It needs to be cleaner, or feels like it needs to be cleaner?
No. What I'm saying is like the people here feel like they need to be whatever. And then when I went to New York, man, we were in the middle of Central Park, and people were just saying the craziest shit.
Just outside
during the day with the playground. You know what I mean? Some dude his whole bit was wishing people happy 9/11. It was like
in New York.
In New York.
This is beginning of September, probably.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
crazy.
That was his bit.
And then
happy 9/11.
Yeah, and then a Black Lives Matter protest broke out behind the open mic.
That's always
which
fun.
is always a weird. It was just a weird look. You know what I mean?
To do comedy and your backdrop is civil unrest.
Yeah,
it's never good.
Yeah,
comedy is like dying. it's like a dying as far as like a freedom of expression. That's what a lot of people would say. But it's definitely you can't do the comedy in front of the protest.
No, that's it. Definitely.
They will die.
Listen, I am totally about like you can make whatever jokes you want to make, but there are definitely inappropriate times to make certain jokes and in front of the Black Lives Matter movement.
What if they were like, all right, guys, we're all gonna stand up. We're gonna move.
Yeah,
we're gonna orient this away from the protest. Jesus Christ, outdoor shows are such a mess. I think.
Yeah,
there's some good ones here. Are you doing that? There's one tomorrow or something at the.
No, I'm not doing it.
Matt Taylor does that Sinking Creek Farms. I refuse to do it.
No.
No,
Jesus. I've heard. Actually, I think I've heard that one's pretty good. He has got another open mic he started right in Murfreesboro.
He does one at it's a guy's house or something. It's called the Laundry Room Venue. He's doing like all the shows. It's the only people doing shows right now. It's Matt Taylor and John Hickok, and Shane Bianchi is like doing it when John Hickok's not around.
Yeah.
That's like it. Everybody else is like, I don't know. It's weird how the comedy went like underground and kind of stopped for a minute, and then as it's come back, it's like there's a consistent couple guys that are working the club all the time. All of a sudden, and then it's weird. It really separated it went away for a couple months, and it's come back, and it's like. Kind of
there's
the
different
same,
factions now. Yeah, there's I get that.
It's everybody used to have. There used to be different people that ran open mics and stuff. It's now like John Hickok runs Nashville open mics. And now it's and Matt Taylor runs Murfreesboro open mics, which I guess he already did. Him and Nick Bush.
Yeah,
but I don't know. And then there's just like a couple guys that are like always hosting or featuring at the comedy club right now.
Like who?
It's Connor and Chance. Aaron. Brian Bates. It's like the only 4 guys that are working from in town right now.
Really?
It's like the only ones, which is cool because.
But I mean, they were kind of the only ones before, right?
Yeah, but it's before. I think I was distracted with the fact that a lot of out of town people bring their own folks.
Okay.
And now I don't think they are as much. So now there's not as many reliable people in town because we also had like a bunch of folks move. Like Laura Peak moved right before all this, and Carter Glasscock is gone. There's a bunch of folks that moved. So it's just weird. I feel like it's just like I'm seeing the same, which is good, and everybody. But it's like you're seeing this reemergence of like the new scene, but it's like growing too. It's cool.
I think there'll be. Depending on how things go, like if things don't open up, I think there will be some fun shows and stuff and some fun atmospheres that sort of emerge. There'll be kind of like a speakeasy type feel to like you're not really supposed to be doing this, but like cause shows and performances will still fucking happen. Like whether it be comedy or music, like I think like if things remain the way they are and people do want entertainment and they want to go out, like you'll start to see this fucking weird like underground like fucking speakeasy type performances, which will kind of be the shit. Like for comedy will kind of be the shit.
It will be cool, but you'll see some comics that you like that are your friends and they won't support that, and they might even tell on those shows. I that's what's gonna be really crazy.
Yeah,
is you see like I know, but it's just like if you want to do comedy and you can't do it normally, you'll have to do one of these underground shows and put yourself like in a speakeasy breaking the law situation. Yeah, you know, and then other people that are like comics that are worried about the illness.
Those people aren't really fucking comic. I don't know. I mean, you can be worried about like that's not what I'm.
The ones here, the ones here, you're right. But there's like some famous comics, you know, like all over the internet that are like.
Listen, I listen to Tim Dillon too, bro. Like I know. I know what you mean.
But there's like, do you know this lady Jen Kirkman? Do you know who she is? I don't know. She's been on like Family Guy and stuff. I don't know. She's like a famous comic, but she's been railing comedy clubs and people for doing shows and like being open.
I know that's the thing that Tim went off about was he went off about Chelsea Handler, I guess.
Chelsea Peretti.
No, I thought you said Chelsea Handler.
No, it's Chelsea Peretti. Okay. She's married to Jordan Peele.
Oh.
And her brother is the CEO of BuzzFeed or something. Yeah, that's Chelsea. But I forget what she's on too. She's funny though. She's a funny actress on a comedy show.
Yeah.
I should say actor. She's not an actress. That's gendering her job. I shouldn't do that. Okay. It's a tolerant podcast.
That was a waste of time.
No, come on, dude. You got to give people their rights.
No, that's just totally true. But also that was a waste of time.
No, but anyways. I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. I guess I don't know. I thought it was Chelsea Handler. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, Chelsea. You know.
Yeah, they're painting her face on the Zanies, dude.
I saw that.
But fucking respect.
I saw that. Yeah, what were we talking about?
I don't know. People being fucking telling on each other.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think people can make their own decisions, man, if they want to go out to a show or not. It's like fucking. Those people that would complain and like make a big fucking stink about like you show shouldn't be happening are the same people that like would make a big stink or complain about like you shouldn't tell certain jokes or whatever. And those are normally people who fucking aren't really that funny.
I
You know
agree.
what I mean? So,
I agree with most everything you're saying. Well, and not that the weird overlap is that there are a few that are funny, and not comics that I know here in town, but like people on the internet, like comics that are good. It's like it's weird. It's like, why would you be going into other comics or trying to shut down other comics? I agree completely. You should be able to do the shows right now if you want to do them. I do have a weird aversion to like if you want to pack out shows like fucking so many people. I don't know the fucking. I'm not a goddamn scientist. I'm just, if people started packing out shows and they said you could do it, I'd fucking do it, I guess.
Well, like in the situation of Zany, like Zany's is following all the rules.
All
right?
of them, yeah,
Like
everything.
every single,
Yeah.
They've got all the social distancing in place and fucking, you gotta wear the masks.
I mean, I don't know how far away motherfuckers are, but they in there paying for the tickets. They're coming to the show.
Yeah,
But it's, I mean, they're not doing full capacity. I know that much, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, but also if you're going out, like John Hickok said something on social media. I don't know if you saw it. He was like, you know, if they tell you that wearing a mask and whatever, all this stuff would keep people safe, do it. But it's like, if you want to, you know, go, if you need to go to the grocery store, you got to go to the grocery store. You got to wear the mask. But if you're going to go to like a bar, it's like you're making a choice. Like if you're going to, there's a risk with going to the bar anyway. You could go out and fucking get drunk or like get stabbed by a guy or something. You know, there's always risk. You know, you never know what kind of bars people go to.
Jesus, man.
But no, dude, I just think there's a risk with going out no matter what. If you're, you know, leaving the house, fucking walking out your front door, driving a car, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got on a rant and then I forgot what I was going to say, so I was bailing.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, I don't, you know, the mask thing, I don't fucking. Well, first of all, I think I did see that post. Somebody else showed it to me, but I did this month. I deleted all my. I didn't delete the actual accounts, but I took all the social media off my phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can only get on there if like I go onto like my actual desktop.
You don't do Safari, like go to the web browser?
Nah.
You have enough discipline? Because I do that
man.
with Facebook. I haven't had Facebook for years on my phone. I still go to
Well, you still do.
Safari.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I still get to it.
Yeah, no. I've been good about it. It was at first it was weird, man, because I noticed like I would just pick up my phone out of nowhere and open it, and then I'd be like, why the fuck did I just open my phone?
Just on
and then because there's nowhere. That circuit, whatever, is like it couldn't be completed because the app isn't there anymore, and I would literally just be sitting here staring at it like, what the fuck did I open my fucking phone for? And it took a few weeks for that to go away, and that's when it was like more reinforced. I was like, fuck, I don't want to have this. Shit's so weird.
Yeah, social media is pretty fucked up, dude. I do that with like I'll be on the app and I'm like, dude, you got to get off the thing. I'll close it and I just click on it again.
Yeah.
You ever do that?
Yeah.
You're like speed clicking on shit for no reason. You're not even absorbing the information.
Yeah, you're totally just doing
scrolling,
the fucking,
moving, clicking, doing.
Yeah. No,
I think
it's so
that's
fucked, bro.
the addictive part. It's just the stimulus of moving and pressing things and seeing things open.
Yeah, but maybe. Yeah,
I don't think it's
know.
about interesting information at all. It's just like an addictive movement for your brain.
That was the thing for me is like it didn't seem like there was any net positive for my life at all to be on there. Like as a comic, like I do feel like there's a certain like I need to have certain social media stuff to like fucking try and promote myself or whatever.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like there's no fucking. There's also like if I'm on Facebook, man, like there's never a time where I've like read somebody's like fucking status and been like, you know what, that was well thought out and I fucking agree, or you know what I mean, or you know whatever. It's all at level 10 and fucking would either serve to just be like, yes, I agree, or no, that makes me fucking, and I'm like totally guilty of that binary, you know what I mean, the viewpoint stuff, and I just didn't fucking, I was just not digging the way it made me feel, so I got rid of it. And dude, this last month, man, I felt like, you know, I had the weirdest experience where somebody went on a trip and they had been posting about it, and then I saw them, and because I hadn't been on Facebook or anything, I didn't know that they had gone on the trip, and they like were surprised that I didn't know about it. And
like,
then,
oh, you didn't see about it all over my social media?
But then I had this thing where they got to tell me about it, you know what I mean, and all the different shit that happened, and you know, like as if it was like the first time, like that, for whatever reason, that interaction, I realized like just I hadn't had that in a long time.
You don't get to do that.
Exactly.
You already know about the people you're close to.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I have the reverse thing of that, where there's people that I knew from school or something I used to be close to.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen them in person in years, or
Yeah.
like 8 years, and I know everything they do every day.
Yeah, that's yeah, it shouldn't be. That's fucked.
Weird.
Yeah,
right?
you don't need that.
I imagine the people, like when you see their Instagram story, you see everything that they post, and they post a lot. I imagine seeing the other side of it, them on their phone, how much in a day.
Yeah.
So it's like if I know everything you do every day, and it's only like 15 slides, it's like is the rest of the time you're on the phone?
Yeah.
It's weird, you know. You're like you Instagram the dog running, or the rest of the time you're just on the thing looking at the likes, like what, you know.
I even started to feel like I started to have this feeling of like, if I don't fucking post about it, did it even happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I may have had that in the past, but I dated this girl, the girl with the COVID that I was supposed to go out on a date with tonight. She doesn't have any social media. Doesn't even have it.
Has never had it?
Never has had it.
That's
she doesn't have it, because I remember when I first met her, you do the thing that I think everybody does where they're like, let me go see what she do, what are her pictures, all this stuff. Can't find her on the internet anywhere. And I was like, what the fuck? So I asked her. She was like, yeah, I just don't.
That rules.
Yeah, and she never had it, never has done it. So I started to feel like, why do I need this? And it's actually paid off. Like, I don't just do frivolous Instagram stories about, like, I'm doing this thing. That really flipped it for me, because I kind of realized, I was like, I don't think she's going to be attracted to me if I'm the kind of person that is doing that.
That's interesting.
So that was an easy way for me to just get out of the game.
Just trying to get fucked, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, maybe. I don't know. It just was a natural feeling. I was like, I was going to feel like a loser hanging out with her if I was on Instagram storying while we're hanging out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So I just broke the habit of doing it, which was a very positive, I thought it was a pretty positive impact, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like being shamed, like feeling ashamed for the habit that I have. I was like, this is positive. It's good to be shamed sometimes. I don't know. That's cool that you're off the social. I need to get rid of it too, because it's the only time that negative shit gets into my life. Honestly.
And especially now, because it's either like you just feel bad about like somebody else posts something and it fucking makes you feel bad about where you're at. You know what I mean? Like if it's like a whatever, or it's some fucking political fucking thing that makes you feel bad. You know, or fucking like, you know, I'm just fucking done with it, dude. Especially now, man, going into the fucking this next month, bro.
Election,
it's like, it's also like not everybody's a fucking opinion. Like I don't want to say not everybody. I think everybody's opinion actually matters to somebody. But the thing is like there are very few people whose opinion matter to me, and my opinion shouldn't matter to them. Like if we're just acquaintances, I feel like you shouldn't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like there are like 3, 4 people. Yeah, exactly. There are 3, 4 people whose political fucking opinions I respect, and not even because they are some sort of like academic, like fucking whatever. It's just because they're friends of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there are 3 or 4 people who should respect mine, and then beyond that, it's just like, why the fuck is anyone talking to anyone? You know?
Yeah, there's the whole part of not having the social media for me, where if I feel like I'm missing out on the social dialogue.
Yeah, I get that.
But there's the other part of it, like what if everybody just got off social media? You know how little the media would be able to affect our emotions as a whole? You know, like if everybody had this thing where they're like, I need to get off the social media. It's like people wouldn't be affected by anything but what they had right in front of them.
Right in their vicinity, which is like really what really actually fucking matters.
I think it actually matters that everybody's tuned into this social, what's trending occupies people's feed, so everybody know, like that's the tension of the day. That's the dialogue of
like
today.
No matter where in the fucking world it happened. Like it doesn't make sense. We're all on the
same page.
Yeah.
Why is that? How could that be?
That could not. There shouldn't be shit happening in fucking like, you know, not to say though, like if there are certain atrocities that happen that I think everyone should be aware of. You know what I mean?
That's
but
not
it's like
what's in the news,
right?
Though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like day to day fucking shit where it's like, why the fuck are we all upset about this thing that happened fucking 2,000 miles, you know, that way, that has nothing to do with us or our jurisdiction. Like, let them fucking, you know.
But that's what's a big. I know that's culture, dude. That's like the effect of the internet right now. It's like if you know how to manipulate that trending machine. Yeah. It's like that's how Kanye West sells his records. That's how he gets in. That's how everybody is doing anything, right? That's what's pretty fucking sad.
I wish I knew more about Kanye, dude. That guy fucking seems like he rules.
Yeah, it's better that you don't know much about him.
Maybe.
If you want to think
I don't know.
I think that it's crazy. He's just a guy that's like, he understands. I think he feels the pressure of like reality. Like he's so on the inside of how money and power and like media really works. Like he really gets it. That probably puts him under so much pressure.
You think so?
Yeah, because he knows how to do it, but it drives him fucking crazy. Like it makes it. You see, he put his Grammy in a toilet and was pissing on it the other day.
That rules.
And he's trying to this is what's crazy about Kanye West. Right now, he's got this whole social dialogue, this media dialogue about he wants to get the access to his masters back. Like he wants to own the recordings of his music. He doesn't own it. The record labels own it.
Okay.
So he's making this whole thing about that he's like a new slave. Like that's his former slave. They've taken his masters from him.
Okay.
But what he's failing to tell people is when he signed the contracts, they offered him the money or the masters. He was like, and he needed the money, so he took the money. But in the long run, if he knew what was going to happen, he could have owned the recordings and he could have made even more money and used it, but he didn't.
But he didn't bet on himself.
He chose not to do that.
Right, take the money up front. Didn't like fucking. I don't know anything about the music industry, but wasn't that like? I thought like didn't Daft Punk have like a crazy deal where but they were one of the few people that took the masters over the fucking.
Oh, I bet they did.
Over the money like first.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's an artistic decision. It's like probably even more than a financial decision. They were probably like, I feel uncomfortable.
Or they don't even give a shit about the money. They're just fucking.
Probably
their music.
Yeah, they just wanted to own.
Or maybe
the music.
maybe it was something that like after so long they would own it again, or so, I don't remember what it was specifically. But
yeah, I don't know how those contracts. But Kanye West also he owns a record label right now, and he owns a bunch of other artists' masters.
Oh, really?
Like a lot of other people's music. He owns a lot of other people's music.
All right.
So it's like he's only talking about like I want them to just give me after we've had a contract and we paid the money. It's like we want you to. I want the masters back. Like he's making a big scene about it. But I don't know. The guy's he's about to drop an album and he wants a lot of social media spin. That's his tactic. That's like the Kardashian effect, dude. Right. Like anytime they were gonna release like a new makeup line or anything like that, they create like. Somebody fucked somebody they shouldn't have fucked, and it blows up in the media, and this person's crying. They got plastic surgery, and it's like, let's drop the makeup line. And they're like, I'm buying all the makeup. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
That's how they do it. That's how our world is working right now. It's pretty gross.
All right. So his thing isn't really about the masters thing. It's about him. He's releasing an album. He just wants everybody's eyes on it.
It's about spin every time. You know, when he was trying to drop the album a couple months ago, but he couldn't. He's horrible with his deadlines and being particular about his music. So he had some thing where he was like, he was putting
you don't think he's good with a deadline?
He's not. He's not good because he did this a couple months ago, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not ready to drop the record," so he went away.
Funny. Yeah.
But he argued with his wife and was like, "My wife's trying to lock me up. She's trying to make me." It's all about this.
Shit.
Yeah, it's always like that. He's like, she doesn't understand me, and she's trying to limit me, and she talked about me with some other guy, and she's a piece of shit. I want to get my kids from her, but then he couldn't drop the album, you know. So
they're still together though, right?
Yeah, 100% still together. It's all cool, you know. They're just like that's their team, dude.
That's
how
wild.
And it's crazy because it's crazy we live in this world where it's like Kanye West has always done that in his career, and the Kardashians have always done that since the sex tape,
right?
And they fucking have
they were just perfect,
and they've just matched up. Like that's some simulation Matrix shit, dude. Like Trump being president, it only makes sense like that we live in the Matrix. You know?
I think we're in a simulation, dude.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know. I think it's more likely than not. It doesn't make fucking sense, dude. Life doesn't make any sense. It's like LeBron James playing for the Lakers. Doesn't make, it's only in the simulation. Kobe dies. They're in the COVID bubble. They win the title.
Yeah.
It's simulation shit, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the next game after Kobe Bryant died, Devin Booker scored like 81. He like scored 81. But it's like weird. All this numerology shit,
bro.
We live in the Matrix, dude.
My God. Your rationalization for it so fucking
I wish I had better points.
Yeah.
I think it's better that they sound really stupid than if they were
you're
good.
probably right. You're probably, yeah. I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, dude. That's it. COVID is fucking ruining comedy, and Kanye West is trying to sell us records.
How long have you worked at Zanies?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. You've not been there that long then.
Not an incredible amount of time, but also I look around and I'm like, there's only a handful of people that have been there longer than me at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, it means nothing to like, I have no power position in that place. It's just that the coolest, I just get to sit and run the remote control for the comedy club. That's the fucking coolest part of it, you know?
Who's your favorite comic?
My favorite comic? Norm Macdonald probably.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask. So who's like your favorite that you've seen there?
Donnell Rollins was really good.
Really?
I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, but I probably haven't. But he he had a show on like a Wednesday, and he only sold like 110 tickets or something.
Yeah.
Like it was like nobody was there.
Yeah.
And he came out and he murdered. Was so funny. And I was like, this guy's probably one of the funniest comics I've seen. The next day he had another early show.
Yeah.
Sold a few more tickets, but it was about the same.
Yeah.
Killed again.
Yeah.
But the late show that night was D.L. Hughley.
Okay.
So this wasn't this previous time. This was another time.
Right.
So Donnell's in town. He's just hanging out. He's hanging out with DL in the green room, and DL gives him a guest spot on the show.
Yeah.
Now DL has sold out.
Yeah.
He sold out his shows.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was just a weird scheduling thing that Donnell already had that date, and DL didn't want to move his time. So
Okay.
Donnell had the less tickets, but the early show, which would never happen.
Okay.
So Donnell does the guest spot right before DL after the feature, 20 minutes, and he murders like the hardest I've ever seen anybody murder.
Really?
And he was throwing, those people were fucking losing their minds. And then DL came out and kind of bombed to his own sold out audience.
No.
And it was crazy because a lot of the premises DL had, Donnell kind of had them, but they were better.
Oh no.
And DL's were kind of like memes that you had already seen
It's
online.
a nightmare.
And you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't seen Donnell first. And I just have never seen anybody do that to another headlining comedian, where they weren't selling the tickets for some reason or another, even though they should have been, and they're killer. And then they got the redemption of performing before they ended burying him. And DL's a king of comedy. I was like, that's the most baller shit I've ever seen in my life.
That's so dope.
And he was just cool. Donnell's cool. It's
Really?
not like he was being an asshole or anything.
Yeah.
He just did.
He's just that funny.
He just did comedy,
Right.
and he fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
And so he might be one of the funniest guys on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at this point in time, I think he'd make you laugh harder than Chappelle would make you laugh.
I've heard that. Like I listen to a lot of other podcasts and stuff like that, and a lot of people, like a lot of other comics at like the Comedy Store will talk about not wanting, like specifically him, not wanting to fucking go after him.
Absolute murderer,
Yeah.
dude. And plus, like like you could take a white comic and a black comic that both kill. I think the capacity for the black comic to kill is even crazy for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out like why it happens, like what it is, but like a black comic that kills is like the best comic on the planet.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
Yeah.
So like, my favorite comics, like I love Donnell. I like Norm because of different reasons, but like you have to acknowledge that like black comics kill the hardest anybody could kill.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
there's so many, like Earthquake, Lavelle Crawford, Bruce. Like some of these guys, they'll just murder so hard.
Lavelle Crawford, bro.
It's
so funny, man. Last night I was just like, I was flipping through the fucking cable at the hotel, and the fucking BT was playing like one of his newest specials. I guess he lost like a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not that big anymore, but he's still pretty.
I mean,
big.
he's big as hell.
That boy big as hell.
Yeah, he was fucking huge.
Have you seen his bit about the grocery store, going into the grocery store?
Yeah.
Dude, it's a 6-minute joke about he just says what his mom tells him.
Yeah.
If for those of you who don't know, look it up. He just says what the mom tells him, and then he just repeats it in his child voice. And it's just the funniest shit. He couldn't, and he gets to laugh every sentence of both, and he just says the same words as before.
Yeah.
And I think it's just impressive to the audience that he can say it exactly like, you know, because the joke, I guess, is that like your parents expect you to remember this fucking crazy amount of rules, like that his mom's making him do that, and the fact that it's like that important to her that they've done this. That's like what's funny about that joke is all the stuff you don't even have to think about that makes it funny. You know, like the fucking brutalness of like a parent like scolding you before you go in a store. I don't know. It's an awesome fucking joke, dude. It's not funny when you break it down like that, but it is.
Yeah, well, you're not as funny as him. So
yeah, never gonna be funny as Lavelle Crawford. That guy, and I didn't know he was a great comic before I saw him in Breaking Bad. You know?
Yeah.
I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
I knew. I mean, I might have seen him before for one reason or another, but he's so good in that show that you think he could be fucking dramatic actor. He also doesn't have any lines. He just fucking.
I forgot for the longest. I had went back and watched it recently, and I forgot like fucking Bill Burr is in that.
Yeah, dude, and that's what's crazy in the scene where all the money is in the storage unit, and it's him and Lavelle Crawford laying on the money, and there's not a funny. I mean, it's funny, but it's not like those guys are funny. That's kind of shocking to me that they can act like that, where it's like, or maybe how they edited or directed it. You know how those are two of the most killer comics on the planet. Yeah, and they're just like not being funny in the show. I don't know. That's impressive to me.
That was interesting. Did you watch the new Joker movie?
Hell yeah.
And there was a bunch of comics in that, and they were like, it was weird where some of them had like very serious.
Who was serious? Mark Maron played a dickhead.
Yeah, and then what's his name? God, I'm blanking on his name.
I know Chris Redd's in it. Sam Morril's in it.
Sam Morril's doing like a set.
And he's actually
And
good.
then-
He's like
yeah.
the only comic that's like doing well in the whole movie.
And then, but what's his, Greer Barnes is in it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I think he's one of the clowns, I think.
Yeah, he's a black clown.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
Brian Callen is in that scene, but they show us half of his face for like half a second.
And it's
which is
just like,
probably good
they're
for that
just like
movie.
normal fucking, it was weird. It was
Well,
weird to see him in that context.
Todd, what's that fucking guy's name that directed the movie? Do you know his name?
Martin Scorsese.
No, he didn't do it.
No.
It was a comic because the guy did The Hangover.
Well, we can look
Fuck,
it up.
I can't
Hold on.
remember. Yeah, and that's why I need a goddamn podcast producer.
I know.
No, but that guy, he did The Hangover. He's done some other dramatic movies, but he always. That's why Brian.
Wasn't
Callen.
Martin Scorsese involved though?
No, I don't
Todd
think at all.
Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I think he like co-wrote and directed the thing.
Todd Phillips, Bradley Cooper was a producer. Yeah, I guess. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm completely wrong.
Yeah, that movie ruled, man. It was one of those movies though that like fucked with my head a little bit, like as it was over, because I was like, did any of that fucking shit happen? Did any of it really happen? Because they show him at the beginning in the hospital room with he's kind of more overweight and wearing all white and stuff.
Oh, really?
And they
I
kinda
remember. I gotta go back and watch it again.
I looked up a bunch of fan shit afterwards. Like there's time, they show clocks in different scenes, and the clocks are the same time, so they think there's like an illusion to like that. None of that shit's even real. And the
okay.
Joker's like famous for creating stories about himself that aren't
Really?
real.
I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
I do remember I had a really weird I remember how deep into comedy I was, like just mentally when I saw that movie, because I remember he was out. He goes out into the like he's on that talk show at the very end.
Yeah.
And he's already killed like fucking 3 people.
Yeah.
And I kept being like, yeah, but if he has a good set right here, like, you know what I mean? Like he can still pull it off.
On. There's actually a movie with Robert De Niro in it, and I think that's why they cast Robert De Niro as the host.
It's a or what's it called?
I can't. Last Man. I don't know what it was
Last
fucking
Man
called.
Standing,
I almost said
something like
Last
that.
Man Standing. It's
No.
something like that.
Yeah.
But he holds the fucking audience hostage and gets his way on like the Johnny Carson, whatever the show is, and he kills, and it ends up going like launching his career.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
exactly.
Like that would never work out in real life, but that's almost.
But that was how fucking stupid my brain was. It was like, all right, but he's murdered 3 people, but if he has a good set, dude, like we could still.
I mean, there was no way he was ever gonna have a good set. You know?
No, I know, but you know, you're pulling for the guy. You know what I mean? You
Never
don't wanna
pulling
watch-
for the
you don't
guy.
wanna- I was.
Dude, that movie freaked me out so much, really. Like, the way his mom was, like, fucking lied to him that Batman's fucking dad was his dad, you know? That whole fucking movie was crazy to me, you know?
Yeah,
And he was so disillusioned. He murders his mother in a hospital, smothers her to death.
yeah. It was. Yeah.
Fucking dark-ass movie.
I don't feel great about it now. To be honest
Feel
with
good about
you.
it. But after all that, you were like, dude, if he has a good set
Bro,
right now, he is
yeah.
going to... Look, we're pulling for the Joker to
Yeah.
launch his comedy
Yeah,
career.
yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude. Well, where do we go from there? I hope pulling for the Joker.
Who else have you seen at Zany's? Like, who was like? Was there anybody that you're like, I'm not expecting him to be that good, that then just like fucking blew you away?
Everyone from the 85 South show. You know who that is?
No.
So it's like these guys from Wild 'N Out. They did stuff before that. But it's DC Young Fly, Carlos Miller, and Chico Bean.
Okay.
So the 85 South show is like a live podcast improv show they do, which
Okay.
I have never seen.
Yeah.
But I heard about it. I knew about it from Wild 'N Out. So they each separately would come and headline the club.
Okay.
And it was a long time after I had been working there. So I was like, well, DC Young Fly is probably funny.
Yeah.
At least funny. And he was killer. He was really, really good. And then Carlos Miller came in. I was like, well, this guy's probably not going to be as good. He was crazy. His crowd work was some of the best crowd work ever, like that I've
Really?
ever seen. He was
Yeah.
so funny,
Yeah.
especially with the crowd. And then Chico Bean was the last guy, and I was like, his name's stupid. He's got to be the worst one because I've seen the other two. There's got to be one of them that sucks. Was better than the other two by far with jokes and crowd work.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like, Jesus Christ, these fucking guys are so. So I don't know why I wanted to be a hater for some reason. Probably because they were all Instagram guys.
Okay.
And it never are the Instagram people funny. Almost never.
What about the YouTube people?
No, same thing.
Yeah.
Worse, probably worse.
Really?
Yeah. Not good. Influencers and YouTube people that end up working comedy.
What do
clubs,
they
never
do?
good.
Do they do like stand up?
Most of the time they try to do stand up. Yeah,
And it's just not good.
Yeah, and dude, some of these guys, they do these shows. They're like 13. A lot of their fans are kids.
Yeah.
and that's how they have this huge following.
Okay.
and they have 13 and up shows. I've seen several of those where it's like children. We didn't know one time. Like we were just, and we don't really check IDs coming into the club. We check IDs if you try to buy alcohol. You know,
Right.
if you look really young, we'll ask for your ID. But like,
Is Zany supposed to be 18 and up?
yeah, it's 18 and up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sometimes they'll make an exception or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to be 18 and up unless we change the format. We can change rules for whatever. It'll be before a certain time. We
Right.
can so one time we're doing one of these shows that's 13 and up. We didn't know, and we're like, all these people are coming in and we're scanning their tickets, and we're like, what's wrong with these fucking people? They were all really weird. We were like, it was a sold out show, and I'm like, is this like his crowd is entirely autistic people?
I knew you were going to say that.
For real. It was weird because we were like, it's weird when a person's audience is sold out and they're all the same kind of people.
Yeah.
You don't get that very often. And when
Right.
you do and you've never seen their act, you're like, why is it like this? And then we figured
You're
out,
saying all autistic people.
and we were like,
the
oh
same?
no, they're all children.
Yeah.
We were like, that's what's going on.
Oh.
All these people are walking in with like no guardians to a comedy club where there's like a bar and all this stuff. They've never been in this situation. So we were like, oh, they're all just awkward children.
Oh, so they weren't autistic.
No, they weren't. Maybe some of them, but like,
Yeah.
you know, because kids can do that. But they were just like, they were scared, like nervous people.
Bro.
So it was really funny.
Who is that for?
You know who Jason Nash is?
No.
He hangs out with that David Dobrik guy
Oh.
that gives away the Tesla.
Oh, I do know him. He's like the older dude, right?
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird that he's older.
That's fucking weird.
And then there's been some other ones. But they always, those comics always have the dirtiest sets. They always talk about fucking jerking off and stuff. Like
The YouTube
kids,
guys?
Yeah, well, with the kids in the crowd, the 13 and up tickets.
That's
this
fucking
one
weird.
guy, Brandon Rogers, he had a whole bit. His longest closing bit was about how he was obsessed with jerking off when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And he loved scented candles, had all these candles, and he was addicted so much to jerking off that he would pack his backpack full of candles, get out of class during class with the backpack and go set up like candles in the bathroom stall and jerk off. And these kids are in front of their parents.
Oh,
like
no.
these kids did have to have guardians. So you feel this tension in the room of like, this is this guy's act. You figure out things about the comic. It's like every city he goes to is like this with these kids with their parents, and the act is about doing the jerking off. I'm like, what's this guy thinking? What's he doing? This is his comedy career. So it's a weird. He gets a headline on Wednesday or something, or like at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the top of the line for those folks.
Dude,
And
that's
it's
like
not
my
good.
fucking. That's like my biggest fear. Not my biggest fear, but like I would hate to be a fucking. I'd rather be somebody who got to a place where I was pretty competent on stage. I'd rather be pretty competent on stage, but I don't get to headline, rather than being a headliner that fucking sucks. That would be a nightmare.
Yeah, you don't really want to headline before you're ready unless you just make a commitment to, like, if you got the chance to headline, you would make the most of it. Like, you would work on your jokes. You would
for sure.
Even if it came from some bullshit video you made,
Right.
It would be like you couldn't go on stage and do that fucking character.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
we had the fucking Southern Mama, dude. Do you know about Southern Mama?
No.
So Southern Mama got famous years ago for cell phone videos. Just on the front camera, it's just a guy acting like a Southern lady. He's like, y'all kids get out of the yard.
Okay.
And that's his sketch, and he makes a lot of money because of it.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So he headlined the Ryman a year and a half ago, like twice. Like went 2 shows in a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he sells like 6,000 tickets, like fucking crazy. But now everybody that goes to a show has the worst time ever. It's the worst experience of their life. Like, so we had a weekend of 7 shows sold out to our capacity at the club, and every time when the people leave, they're like furious, you know.
My God.
And his whole act was talking about how he hates COVID and hates masks, and he doesn't.
And people won't come back to see him. Right?
No, never.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. He blew up. That's what you gotta be careful with. He blew up, and everybody knew about him.
Yeah.
And he hooked up with some guy that could get him these dates, and they booked these huge venues, and they fill these huge venues, and then he puts on the worst show ever.
Yeah.
And then nobody and he's barely selling out the capacity of the club that he's playing right now.
See, that's what you got.
And
You
it's
gotta.
limited.
If you get into that situation, I feel like you gotta fucking stack the show with like monster openers.
Or just don't do a huge show like that.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, like just wait until it's hard to say because like maybe he never had the potential to become a great stand-up.
Yeah.
Never was going to
So
happen.
he just grabbed the cash.
Maybe you got to get the money now because if he waits and just does it, but he's only done 1 open mic ever and 1 show before he was booking his own headlining shows. That was it. And there's a documentary online. You can watch this, the Southern Mama documentary, and it's in the intro. It's Stephen Wright telling a joke. You know, Stephen Wright, who would hate this fucking guy.
Right.
You know, and then it just starts into this monologue about he's the fastest rising comedian in American history, and he's, you know, from the fucking grassroots. It's all this pretentious bullshit about that he's like the greatest.
Yeah.
Never been a faster rising comedian. He's going
Yeah.
straight to the top. He's living the American dream. And then it's just him. There's footage of him being horrible
He's
in the
just not-
documentary. It's just a footage of him not doing good.
Oh,
you know?
no.
It's the worst shit ever. Like, and that is horrifying. Like, if you would have seen, I had to sit through 7 of these shows.
Yeah.
7 times I had to see this but the worst part, the last show, he killed.
Really?
So he did 7 shows. One of them was the worst thing I've ever seen. People were walking out as soon as he got on stage. I mean, it was awful. He was drunk. He fell off the stage. He was so drunk. Not even kidding.
Wait,
off
at the
zany
end?
stage. No, in the middle of his set.
Off which
In one of
end?
these shows. Off the front.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he fell off and got back on the
That's quite
stage.
a fall, bro.
Insane. We had people calling the club complaining.
Oh
It was
my
the worst
God.
shit I've ever seen for 6 shows. Last show, he kind of killed. He killed for his audience.
You just put it together.
And then so he got to leave the weekend going, you know what? He's like, you know what? Maybe I got this.
We did something.
Maybe I could. Maybe that's how every weekend goes. That he just bombs. One of them's the worst shit anyone's ever seen. And then the last one, it's like, you know what? Maybe we can keep doing this. Maybe we can keep selling these tickets. Because he gets one show a weekend where those people think that was the best shit ever.
Yeah,
But-
that's true.
So
I don't know.
what a horror. That's a horror. That's the horror story of comedy.
Yeah.
That's what can happen, you know? But that's like, it could be worse. Is it worse to never be a comic at all or to do that?
I would to do that. Yeah.
It's worse to do that?
For sure, yeah. I
think
would
it's
hate
worse.
to be a headliner with no, also like not having any like respect of your peers would be fucking. That'd be a nightmare. No matter how much money you're making. I don't know. Maybe there's a number where you'd be like, fuck, I don't care. I'm making so much fucking money. But it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This guy, when he first started doing stand-up, he had a manager that got him on the Variety Top 10 Comics to Watch at JFL, New
Okay.
Faces.
Yeah.
So, and that's the biggest show, but it's also the one where like you can kind of get your way on it, but with money.
Oh,
like it's
really?
not like a selection one where you're a good comic, but most of them are good comics.
I thought New Faces is. Oh, I don't know.
It was
Maybe I
just
don't know.
at New Faces.
Okay.
Like he didn't make New Faces.
Oh, okay.
And he might have made, I don't know. I
Okay.
honestly don't know. I don't know. But I know that he was on the Variety Top 10 Comics to Watch showcase at JFL one year. And I think Dusty was even on that show.
Oh,
Dusty
really?
Slay.
Okay.
Maybe that was the next year. But
Yeah.
anyway, he goes on in the middle of this lineup of 10 great comics, new comics that people don't know. It's all industry people who love comedy.
Yeah.
Got booed off the stage
Oh my god.
at JFL, and then this has been years ago. This has been 2 years ago, maybe. And that's it. He booed off the stage at JFL in front of the comedy industry, and he just has persevered to keep doing this
Oh,
shit.
good for him. God bless you.
What a fucking horrible thing, though. I mean, it's like I think that could make me keep me up at night, like sweat fucking profusely.
If you bomb that hard in front of the.
Thinking about that, getting like and knowing that he has to get drunk. I've seen him like how drunk he gets to get. Maybe he has to do that. The only time I saw him sober was the shows right after the shows where he fell off and it was horrible. He was like, "All right, I got to get my fucking shit together."
I went through a phase where I was getting super high before going on stage, and then
Just getting high.
just super high.
That's
And
not horrible.
I'd go up there and I'd go up there and then just blank for like
Yeah.
30 seconds.
I've had to stop doing that,
Yeah.
smoking so much weed before I do things.
Yeah.
It does make you less mentally acute, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah, I fucking for sure.
You saw me also. I looked
Yeah,
up.
for
I was
sure.
like, "What I
What
just
the
say was
fuck
that
you
right?"
talking about?
Hey, I've smoked so much weed in my life in certain situations that I've kind of reluctantly lied to myself that that's not the case.
Yeah.
That it's like you can smoke a lot of weed and do whatever you want, you know. And it's not. But
no,
it's not true.
Man, I gotta be honest with you. Like through this whole thing, like I started, when everything stopped, you know what I mean. And there was just I had so much. I mean, for me, I had my time is always just completely occupied. You know what I mean? Like I'm always just fucking gunning and moving forward, whatever, you know. So when this all started, I just had so much free time, man. I was doing a lot, especially at first, I was doing a lot of drugs, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
Hell
and
yeah.
I really had to fucking rein. I had to fucking rein it in. But I do remember, man. Like, oh my god, we went to fucking like 2 months ago. Me and Lucas went to Denver for a few days, and it was the first time I had been in a city where the weed was legal.
Yeah, where you could get it in a store.
And we went to the weed store like within the first few hours we were
Off
there.
the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Drop off the stuff.
That's exactly what happened, right? So we go and I buy these fucking edibles, and I'm thinking like, I mean, I've taken big doses before, right? Like
Sure.
I've taken like fucking 800-900 milligrams,
Sure.
fucking like whatever, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I can take it.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I did this one that was 600 milligrams, and I fucking took it. And when we drove up to Red Rocks, right? Within like 15 minutes, right? He looks at me and he can exactly. My eyes are already completely red.
The muscles in your face
exactly.
are no
I'm just
tension.
like, bro, I'm so high. And that's like 15 minutes in. By the time we get to Red Rocks, I'm having like a full-blown panic attack.
Your freak anxiety.
I'm freaking out. I cannot stop talking. I I remember thinking, like, I really want to stop saying things, but I cannot
You're
stop
on a track
saying,
where it can't.
Yeah,
you can't even stop the thoughts.
Oh my God. And I kept thinking if we move, we were sitting in the parking lot and we're sitting in the car and we're supposed to get out and go up to this thing, and I'm thinking, like, if we move, we're gonna die.
If we move, it's over.
We move. And I kept having to like just make sure that, like, I kept being like, all right, what time is it? And then like 10 seconds later, I'd be like, all right,
look at the time again.
Yeah, did it move forward? What are we doing here? You know what I mean? And then, oh my God, and then his like foot slipped, and I'm convinced that we're gonna die. He's like, well, do you want to just like, we can go for a drive? I was like, we can't do that because we're gonna fucking get in a car accident. We're gonna fucking die. And as soon as I'm having that thought, his like foot like slipped off of his other foot and hit the gas, and then the engine like revved up.
Oh no!
And in my brain, I was like, that was it. You know what I mean?
We're dying now.
Dude, it was the only time that I have taken any THC product, and I really was like, maybe this shouldn't be legal. You know what I mean? Like, like this is fucking out of control.
I've only been paranoid from weed 2 times in my life.
Yeah.
And one time I was a freshman in high school. It was the last day of the year.
Yeah.
And we went to some party with these older kids. We smoked good weed for the first time.
Yeah.
And this guy let us stay in his basement, but he told us his parents would like kill him if they fucking found us in there. Okay. And it was also an unfinished basement. And he was with some girl. He was like, yeah, I'll bring you guys blankets and pillows or whatever. And he just never came back. So all night I'm just in a dark, cold, unfinished basement. I can't see anything. He told me if his parents find out, he's going to get crucified.
Oh, my God.
So I just had a panic attack all night long. Couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I couldn't see it. It was like I was in... And then I never smoked weed. I was like, I'm never smoking weed again. Until I was like 17.
See, I've never had it with smoking. It's just the edibles that like, it's even like just even that one in particular. For whatever reason, it just hit me the weirdest fucking. I remember I would say something serious, right? And then I remember I would try to say something funny to like, because Lucas was like concerned. He was like, he thought my brain
trying to bring
broke.
you back. He's like, all right, buddy.
He was like, bro,
keep it together.
You might have permanently damaged.
You've done a psychiatric break or something.
Exactly. I remember that. So I would say something, and then I'd be like, all right, say, all right, you're funny. Say something fucking funny, right? And then I would try and say
you're
something
funny, dude. You got
this. Yeah, you got it. You can make this. You can talk your way out of this, dude. And I would say something, and he would just stare at me, and I'd be like, oh fuck, he didn't think that was funny.
It's just you and a good friend in the car, and you're like, "Come on, you can save it. You can do
that's
this."
how insane. Yeah, that's how insane it is. Where I'm still like,
silence was never an option. You were like, it was just never just chill.
I wanted so bad. You have no idea. I wanted so bad to just stop talking, and it just couldn't. It just could not. It could not happen.
I've never done. I did that on mushrooms to my friend one time, and he probably thought I was losing it too.
Yeah,
I was just screaming. I was screaming at him to stop talking. Never said a word, and I was just just rambling.
Oh my
God, and yelling. And then I was like, dude, if you fucking talk, they're gonna hear us. It's gonna be over.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude. But I had never done mushrooms before, so I was like, did a lot of mushrooms, so I was like freaking out, like I was losing my mind. But and then when I finally realized that I would intermittently realize I was screaming at him for nothing, and I'd feel like the most I'm like, oh dude, you're gonna get locked up in a fucking hospital.
Dude, I definitely I've had some psychedelic experiences where I thought, that's it, dude. You fucking broke your. I remember I did so much acid once. I remember I was coming up, and I remember thinking, like, why are you like, the universe was cool the way it was. Why
you
are you
need to do this?
Exactly. Why are you fucking with it, dude? You don't need to fuck with the code, bro.
That's
you don't
the
need
worst
to see
when
that.
You take it. And you did it already, and you're like, man, I didn't need to do
not,
it.
Yeah.
And then it's coming anyway.
Yeah,
it's over. Oh God, yeah, that's the worst.
And then I was like, well, I definitely. So what's happening now is I think I'm still on the couch tripping, but what's really happening is I'm in a mental institution screaming at the wall. So
anytime that happens, you got to get outside and walk. I mean, sometimes it's not good to be around to be seen by others in that condition. If you don't want other people to see you,
you don't think it's a good look.
But if you can get out there and not let other people see you and walk outside, that's the best move. Like we used to get out, we'd like walk around the college campus at night,
Yeah,
because you just got to fucking shake it. It's less crazy and less like like tense. If you
Depending
can
on how
walk.
much you're doing though, because if you're on a big enough dose, you shouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, maybe, but if that happens, I don't know how you can be inside and feel okay. Like I can't. If
Well, there's no feeling okay.
There's no feeling okay. I don't think you understand what we've done.
Yeah,
here.
you just have to wait it out, bro. You got to wait
Yeah.
2,000 years and fucking.
That is
you'll
what it
come
feels like. It's like
Bro.
will it be this way forever? Have I made this mistake? I fucked myself.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Especially because if you take enough and like your perception of time starts to get really fucked with, where it seems like time completely stops, and you're in that panic of did I do permanent damage, and then it feels like time isn't moving forward.
We did that when I was tripping mushrooms the first time. Except I convinced myself that like a whole period of time never happened. Me and my friend at the same time convinced each other. We were like, oh, all that shit we did already never happened. Like we thought we'd been in my van just tripping in my car.
Like forever?
Well, that's where we started, you know? And then
Right.
at one point we went in the house. I got my phone charger. We realized we couldn't be in the house because we were fucking too crazy. We had to go back outside.
Okay.
And then we had called the guy to come pick us up, but we had to remember how to use the cell phone because we couldn't use the phone. And then after all that, like the guy wasn't contacting us back and we couldn't get into the phone anymore. Like we couldn't get, it was over with the phone.
Yeah.
And we convinced ourselves both at the same time. We were like, none of that ever happened.
Yeah.
We never called the guy. We never went in the house. We never, and the trip has just started. And it's going to be like this for like
Another fucking 10 hours
and
or whatever.
we could just imagine it. It was so crazy that we both, without even saying anything, both convinced ourselves that had happened. And then I had to realize, I'm like, well, I have the phone charger here. Didn't have the phone charger before. I was like, no, it had to have happened. And then the guy pulled up in the car and saved us. And it all turned around, which was nice.
When we were at the second half of Red Rocks, we finally get out. Lucas convinced me to get out of the car and go ahead and walk up. Do you know what Red Rocks is? It's
it's a big venue in Colorado.
Amphitheater, right?
Yeah.
So you can go just hang out there during the day when there are no shows and shit. So we get out of the car and we walk up, right? And on the stage when we get there, there's a fucking drum circle that's happening.
Oh, I saw this on your social media.
Oh,
Crazy
my God.
to call back to knowing
Dude,
about your life.
Bro, it's I have never been so grateful for a drum circle.
And this was when you were high, getting out of the car, you thought you were going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, so dude, just the beat, man, just like that's all that was in the world was just that fucking beat, bro. Yeah,
so
man.
you're just coming down the
I know.
stairs to the stage, and you're like, "Oh, these fucking guys are.
I
There's people
just
out here.
sa-
They're
yeah.
not dying. It's
Bro,
all gonna be fine."
I just sat in the fucking. I sat in the stands and just fucking listened to the beat for like 2 hours, and just put it all back
Did you
together.
guys split up, you and Lucas? Did you
Yeah.
go do other shit?
Yeah,
and you just sat in the fucking.
Yeah, I just sat.
You just
there.
sat in one place.
Yeah, I sat with my head in my hands. I was so excited to be at Red Rocks and see it. Yeah, I was so excited to be at Red Rocks and to see it, and I didn't see a fucking. I went
I mean,
and
you
sat
saw
down.
it.
And
You were there,
bro. I was everywhere, bro.
Yeah, you got like all
I
the
was,
coverage.
I was
of it.
in it, bro.
That's so funny, dude.
I know.
It's crazy how shit'll work out like that, though.
Yeah.
That's like, I wanted to see Inception the first time. I wanted to get really, really high when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I smoked so much weed I fell asleep. I did that 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then I like couldn't get high on weed anymore after that.
Oh no.
Yeah, Inception that's like kind of like my Red Rocks story.
Inception, whatever, bro.
Yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah.
that's fucking wild. You travel a lot and you fucking all over the place.
No, I mean I don't. Not too much, man. It was just there was a couple of trips we took that were just sort of out of boredom because nothing else was going on, and you know.
How'd you get into the Comedy Cellar? I wanted to ask you that. I saw a picture of you inside the
Oh
Comedy
yeah,
Cellar.
no. That was like I wasn't like I just walked inside.
It was open.
I asked the dude if I could go down and just take a picture.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
and he was like, "Yeah, cool."
There's just
man.
some guy in the front doing a box office thing. or
No,
something?
they're open. Like their restaurant is open.
Oh,
so
you
like
can eat inside there.
So they're above the Comedy Cellar is the Olive Tree, which is like a bar, and they serve food and stuff. And me
Okay.
and Trey just sat down and just got a couple. We were going somewhere else after that, so we went and we just wanted to walk by. And Trey had never been there, so he just wanted to just see it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we walked by and we saw that it was open. So we sat down, we ordered a couple of drinks, and then I eventually just was like, "Hey man, can I go down onto the stage and just
Just see what it's about.
yeah?" And he was super cool.
Did you tell him you were a comic or anything?
After that, because he then because there was nobody else there, he ended up like sitting down with us for a few minutes and just like we were just shooting the shit, and we ended up telling. And that's he was the one who then like he gave me a bunch of info on like mics and stuff that were happening around
In the city?
Yeah,
That's
he
cool.
was super cool.
So have you been to the Comedy Cellar for shows before?
Yeah.
I've never been to New York, dude. I don't know what's going on up
The
there.
Cellar's the fucking
Is it pretty cool?
yeah, man. It fucking is super cool.
Just to see a showcase style show, I'm sure you see a bunch of comics you don't know who they are, like when you're there.
You see, so I've been a few times. You see, it's cool, man. It's a fucking $20 ticket, right? And you go in, and you're gonna see people that you recognize. You know what I mean? They'll almost always, it seems like there's somebody super famous that'll pop in, right, and do a fucking set. I was there 1 week. I was there. I spent a week in New York once, and I was at shows like fucking every night. And it was while Aziz was putting his latest hour together.
Yeah. Okay.
So I saw him like every night doing like a different portion of this or where you're working stuff. So that was super cool. But yeah, so you'll go, like there'll be like a super famous person, but then you'll fucking, like almost always, there'll be like 3 or 4 people in the lineup that you have no idea who the fuck they are. And those are the ones that are going to fucking kill the hardest, bro.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah. Man.
All those guys are killers. Like Dave Attell will bring New York. There's some comics that come to the club that always bring a New York person with them that I don't think New York comics do a lot of road work. You know, I think they stay in New York. I think that's a New York thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, the road work thing and doing clubs and doing that thing is so much different than New York comedy. Like bouncing and doing spots and that city thing, it's different. They're like totally different things as far as I can, I wouldn't know from experience. But so I think like when Dave Attell will come, or like Michelle Wolf always brings New York comics on the road. It's just so really cool to see. Like Louis, when he came, he brought Kevin Brennan, and he brought, So it's like always, it's cool to see those people get out of the city and come to a new place. They have such high energy.
Bro, who was the black guy that he brought with him?
Tony Wood.
So funny.
That guy was like Dave Chappelle's mentor.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if he straight up mentored him, but he. When Dave Chappelle was young, that was like his favorite comic. If you see his Mark Twain Prize speech, Tony Woods is there. He shouts out Tony Woods.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
The guy that
okay.
He straight up was like, I copied you when I was young.
So, when he walks out like his first bit. I won't like do it, but he
do it.
Yeah. But he fucking no, I'm not gonna do it. That's insane. But it's just like there's no words or even joke or punch. Like he just does this weird timing where he stands there and then he says like.
Well, he tells the host that brings him up tells the audience that this guy won a radio contest and he's never done stand-up before. And he's the third comic you've seen. So you've already seen the killer host, who he's a Minneapolis guy. I can't remember his name. And then Kevin Brennan. And then you're going to see it's Tony Woods. Yeah. Like it's and the guy goes, this guy's never done it, so bear with him. He won a contest to be here. He does that every show. That's and he's funny. One of the great, he like Chappelle modeled his stand-up off of him. Yeah. So he comes out to that expectation and he does that thing where he's silent and he's awkward.
Yeah,
and he
it's so fucking funny.
This is what he does. He goes, I don't know if you know it, but he goes, he's like, I feel y'all y'all feeling me. I feel it. And I don't like what I'm feeling. And how he says it is that people go crazy. And then it's like this whole thing is like this weird drunk, clumsy energy, and he's murdering. Yeah. I got a picture of him in the sound booth of him doing that when he was there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Shows.
Who went after him?
Louis, I think, goes after him in the show.
Was it just? I thought there was
another
one.
4 comics. No, it was like the host, and then I think Kevin Brennan, and then Tony Woods, and then Louis went. Yeah, I think that's how the shows went. It might have been Kevin Brennan and Tony Woods mixed, but I switched, but I don't think it was. I think Tony Woods was the last guy. But yeah, dude, that guy rules because he's like a real that's why he's so good is because he's influential. You don't even have to know. Like he's good because he's good. Yeah. But when you see him, it's like you see so many people that he's influenced. You've seen him already.
Right. I see what you're saying.
When you see him, it's like you already know him. You know, and it's like that's why he's so fun because he's like a fucking huge influence in comedy, man.
He's so fucking funny.
But he's like a wild guy. He's like a guy that I think he has drinking a lot in his career. He'll just say whatever.
Dude, you know what, man? I am like a little fucking. It feels like, man, maybe this is just a Nashville thing, but it feels like there's no. Like I've talked to a few other people about this. There's no sense of rock and roll in comedy in Nashville for whatever reason. And maybe it's not just a Nashville thing. Maybe it's happening. Maybe it's happening everywhere. But doesn't it feel like there's like a little fucking? There's no like rebellious fucking. I don't know, man. Everyone wants to. It feels like everyone's trying to be so clean cut and professional and fucking. Yeah. And and not that there's anything wrong with that. I guess it's just I don't know, man.
It's not risky business. No one's doing that. You know?
Well, yeah.
I think it's because you got to get into the club here. You got to get on road where you got to get in with headliners that you're not going to ruffle feathers in the wrong way.
Yeah, I guess. And the thing that sucks about that though is like from everything I've heard about like the way the Comedy Store was like. Even just like 5 to 10 years ago, and everything the way it was like in the Cellar, it was like the crazier and fucking weirder and more deranged you were, the more likely you were to get spots. You know?
Yeah, there's some tipping point in that of like if you're funny enough and crazy enough, you can do the business. But it's like you have to be that good.
Right.
I don't think like you've got to be like crazy. Like if you're gonna be crazy and hard to deal with.
But I think there are,
but
there are people that are really good, that are really hard, like that do have that mix, and then for whatever reason here, like they don't fucking.
Why is hard? I don't think you can nurture. You're not gonna see folks nurture the crazy person. Like they're gonna have to be hot already. You know, you're not gonna see it's gonna like an Eddie Murphy that's 20 years old. That's like funny for no reason. You don't understand why he's so funny.
Yeah.
Like he comes to the open mic or
Yeah.
Let's say they got the Yazoo showcase.
Yeah.
They've been at the mics for a month. They fucking murder, and then now they're hosting whatever. It's like never seen that. You know?
No, but I get that you can't have that. Like you can't have the fucking MC be so fucking like I get that. I get that like that hierarchy within like the show itself happens. And I get from Zany's perspective, like they need to fucking, you know, I don't know. I just wish there was a little bit more of fucking
I do too.
willingness to be fucking,
wild, be a little wild, make it
raunchy,
crazy.
Fucking,
yeah, I like that too. I think but it's mostly like people that are wild are unpredictable. And in this sound,
that's fucking fun,
it
bro.
is fun, but it's also like a club will not book a person that's unpredictable on stage unless they're like, I'll put it this, like you can be unpredictable if you're always funny, but like some people don't have like an act and you don't know what they're gonna do. So
yeah,
it's
but that's
hard
different.
To book them,
yeah,
you
that's
know?
different from what I'm talking about, though. That's just, I know who we're talking about. You know what I mean?
That's funny, dude.
You know what I mean?
That happens so much on here that I'll be talking about a thing and the other person's like, I know what the fuck you're talking about,
you know
bro.
what I mean? I know who we're talking about right now. That's not what I mean.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's like the only example of that, you know? Like around here, there's nobody else that's really.
Yeah, but
know.
I think that. But what I'm saying though is that I think that there is no other example of that because people try to fit into this. It's discouraged to be like that. Whereas in other places, I feel like it's actually encouraged to be fucking.
Yeah,
to be a little
I've
wild.
said, this guy that we're talking about, if he moved to New York, I think he'd be far, far more successful. I think people would entertain him more, and he'd get, like calling people racist and saying people don't like booking people because they're I think that's a successful in New York. That's successful. People like that
maybe.
shit. That's a fucking dialogue, baby.
Maybe.
I like nothing wrong. Say whatever.
I'm thinking, that's a bit. I'm thinking a little bit of a different. There is also a difference between like an artist and then just a fucking insane crazy person.
No,
So,
absolutely.
you know what I mean?
But it's just I think that's very uncommon. It's like to find a person that's like you know about who those people are because they become famous and they're great comics. It's just like an insane person is like hard to nurture their talent. I think that's what it mostly comes. And there's people that book that are doing business.
Maybe I don't. Maybe that's in this. Right. Within this context, you are right. It's hard to nurture that. But then if there's a place where that's where everyone is, you know what I mean? Then it's a whole different thing.
And the culture in New York also is like it's showcase shows.
Right.
So it's like if you don't have to like if people are buying tickets to show up to see a headliner and then the feature of the host comes out and they fuck it up, it's like you're putting the headliner's like you're putting my audience through this bullshit.
I get it.
But in New York, if they're just coming to see it, you stand on your own. I think your reputation, your showcase set when it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
And if it was good, it was good. You're not fucking it up. If like Jim Gaffigan is later on in your set, if you do some crazy, people probably aren't going to be like, man, you fucked it up for Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
No one will think that.
Right.
So it's like. I get that you're a little more open to that. And New York's just different. You can get away, those people were looking for that. It sounds like when you saw a show, people saying crazy shit in Central Park,
Yeah.
in front of a fucking social
but that
justice
was just,
protest.
Right, yeah. I mean, that was just desperate people, you know what I mean, who don't know that they shouldn't be doing comedy right now. But they're, but like when I saw shows at the Cellar though, like that was definitely like people were saying crazy shit, you know what I mean? And were really fucking good and were also insane people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the South is a weird place, though. It's like are you from the South? No, where are you from?
I did a lot of my growing up in L.A.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here, it's just like I'm sure you've been here long enough now. There's like a puritanical sense of values that kind of permeates everybody's interaction. Like even if you're not from here, it's like it's about being polite and being, So if you start saying crazy shit, it's like I just think it doesn't take to an audience here very often. And the people that put on the shows don't like it. It's weird. I mean, you're right. You'll get fucking scorned for doing crazy shit if it doesn't work, and the audience isn't looking for. So you really can't nurture that at all. I think in this place right now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It seems like a chicken and the egg thing. Like, which one is it?
Yeah.
Is it that the fucking bookers scorn it, or is it that the audience really doesn't fucking like it? Like, I don't know.
You have to get an audience that, like, I'm sure they're out there. You just start having to get a, like a.
I mean, but like at the example I gave at the beginning, like we've put on shows that we thought, oh man, this is going to be a super tight woke fucking. They're not going to dig anything, and then you get somebody who's talented who can fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like we've had crowds, like the crowd that Shane was in front of. It felt like, damn, there's no way Shane is gonna, like, you know what I mean? Shane is not what they're fucking, and then he murdered. So I don't know.
I think it would take like a guy like a Doug Stanhope living here and putting on a show. Like people are going, they know they're gonna see him, and then like guys like Shane can be on the show.
Oh, maybe.
Like
Yeah.
I think it almost takes like the reputation, like that it comes with like having a headliner, like somebody that's already successful. Unfortunately, it's like hard to build. Like if Shane, like just use Shane as an example, if he wants to work the club, it's gonna be a hard way to go, But what's way more likely is that somebody finds him that likes him and brings him on the road.
Well, nobody's gonna like Shane.
I mean, I like him, but I like it. But it's doing the jokes that he does. It's like I'm sure eventually he'll get booked to host and do some other stuff, but it's just not. There's plenty of other comics that are going to be able to go that route in this part of the country and every part of that country because it's just like of how he does his fucking material. It's like people they don't know how people are gonna perceive the fucking saying that women should make less money as the just all these different jokes that he has that are very,
don't do
funny.
it. We know that he doesn't like it when people.
Oh yeah, I was on the fucking internet. Yeah. Whatever, dude. That's his art. I don't want to share his art on my fucking an hour and a half deep into my podcast. I don't want to share his art.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, dude. I mean, we talked about you went to New York. We talked about COVID. I told you work hard. I fucking jerked you off a little bit about that. I'm so excited for the Tim Dillon tonight, though. Talking about New York comics.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to be really good?
No, I think it's gonna suck.
That's my interviewing
wasting
style.
my time.
I'm like, he's pretty good. You think he's going to be pretty good?
No, I think it's good. I think this is my third time seeing him. I'm really excited about it. He's one of my favorite fucking people right now.
I love his podcast. I've never seen him in person do comedy, so I'm really excited.
His podcast is so fucking dude. The last one was pretty crazy, but it wasn't really funny. But he did the one he did before that where he did like this whole bit about fake business. Did you see that?
Yeah, on this. Oh yeah, dude, that was so funny.
I was like crying laughing.
I was like, dude, I'll pay money for fake business podcasts.
I know.
Like, do just fake business crank calls. Just do fake business all the time. That
it's
shit
so
was
good.
So good, bro.
It's so funny.
I just think also him. I think there's not a lot of comics that are well suited to the energy of the world right now.
Yeah.
And him, it's like this is his thing. Like talking about everything spiraling out of control in the world.
Well, he's also
like
everything's
wrong.
He's extremely funny, but he's also like an extremely intelligent person. Like you can tell, and very, very articulate and very good speaker. So it's a weird combination of well, if you're somebody who listens to this podcast regularly, I feel like he'll slip into he'll be like just saying wild and crazy shit, and then he'll slip into like serious for a second and make like a really good point about something, and then sort of move back. It's a really weird. Nobody else is really doing that. Also, like he's got that thing that I'm talking about. Like he's like that fucking you feel that sense of like rock and roll and just fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
But he's a crazy he used to do those bus tours.
I know.
And he would just say crazy shit at his fucking job just because he knew nobody was there to hear it. Like nobody was there to criticize him.
Yeah.
I think that energy is and like I said, like right now watching his comedy, I think it's going to be a relief. Like to feel his energy and like the stuff he's gonna say on stage. Like I'm excited to get, especially after fucking watching the Southern Mama for all those shows. And that made me so
When was
tense.
it? Was that last week?
Last week.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude, it was so horrible. It was like a week of my life I'll never fucking get back.
Yeah, Southern Mama, you suck, dude.
This is like the antithesis of Southern Mama, what we're getting this weekend.
Yeah,
so it's just gonna be like a purging of all my
talented.
hate. Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Well, dude, I want to thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
thanks
man.
for being over here.
Super fun.
I'm getting back in the fucking zone of doing these motherfuckers. So everybody, thank you for coming to the podcast. Thank you guys for coming back. Shout out. You got social media. Do you want to tell people where to find you?
Even
though you don't use it at all.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, if you wanna, let's see, Dairy Ham Sam on.
No, that's not it.
No, it is. It's Dairy Ham Sam on Instagram. And that's it. Yeah, so that's the only one. You don't need to follow my Twitter. It's fucking useless.
Hell yeah. Well, follow Darian Irwin. And folks, thanks so much for coming back to the podcast. And make sure you subscribe in the corner and do all that good shit. And come back and see us in the next episode. And what the fuck ever. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. That old saying it's true.